Welcome to Speak English with me.
Improve your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation with our engaging lessons.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Speak English with me. I'm Sam.
And I'm Emma. We're so happy you're here because today's episode is about 4 very small words that make a surprisingly big difference when you speak English.
They certainly do. If you've ever stopped in the middle of a sentence and wondered, should I say will or would, you're definitely not alone.
Or maybe you've seen shall in a book and thought, does anyone even say that anymore? Then you hear someone say should, and suddenly all 4 words seem connected somehow.
That's the challenge. They look similar, but they each have their own job. Once you understand how they work in real conversations, choosing the right one becomes much easier.
That's our goal today. We won't give you a long grammar lecture. Instead, we'll chat the way friends naturally do, pause whenever something interesting comes up, and show you how these words fit into everyday English.
Before we begin, we'd love to ask for one small favor. If these conversations help you feel more confident in English, please subscribe to Speak English with me. Your support helps us keep creating free lessons like this, and it means you won't miss future episodes.
Thank you for listening, learning with us, and being part of this wonderful community. We truly appreciate every single one of you.
Let's imagine something simple. It's Friday afternoon, and we're trying to decide what to do this weekend.
That sounds like a conversation most people have every week.
I look at the weather forecast and say, I think it will rain tomorrow.
That feels natural because you're making a prediction about the future.
Then you look at me and say, we should take umbrellas.
Now I'm giving advice. I'm not predicting anything. I'm simply suggesting the sensible thing to do.
A few minutes later, our friend sends a message saying, I would love to join you, but I have to work.
That sentence tells us something different again. The person wants to come, but the situation doesn't allow it.
Then someone asks, shall we meet at the cafe at 10?
4 sentences, 4 different modal verbs, 1 completely ordinary conversation.
That's what I love about English. These words aren't reserved for grammar books. They're part of daily life.
And once you start noticing them, you'll hear them almost everywhere. In cafes, offices, family dinners, films, podcasts, and messages between friends.
Here's something I've noticed with learners. Many people try to memorize long lists of rules before they start speaking.
I used to do that when I was learning another language. I'd remember the rule perfectly, but the moment someone asked me a question, every rule disappeared from my mind.
That's because real conversations move quickly. You don't have time to search through a grammar notebook while someone is waiting for your answer.
Instead, your brain begins recognizing patterns. You hear the same kinds of sentences again and again until they start feeling familiar.
Let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
If I say, I'll call you tonight, what does that sound like?
A promise. You've decided to call me.
Now listen to this one. I would call you tonight, but my phone isn't working.
That changes everything. You want to call, but something is stopping you.
What about this? You should call your grandmother.
That's advice. Maybe she hasn't heard from you for a while, and I'm encouraging you to do something kind.
See how one small word changes the whole meaning?
That's why choosing the right modal verb matters. You're not only sharing information, you're showing your intention, your attitude, and sometimes even your personality.
I remember meeting an international student who wanted to sound polite when asking for help. Instead, he said, you will help me.
Oh, I can imagine how people reacted.
He wasn't being rude on purpose. He simply translated the sentence from his first language. After someone explained the difference, he smiled and said, oh, I should say, would you help me?
What a lovely example. One tiny change made his English sound much warmer and more natural.
That's why today's episode isn't about memorizing complicated grammar. It's about sounding more comfortable, more confident, and more like yourself when you speak English.
As we continue, you'll hear lots of everyday conversations, practical examples, and useful phrases that you can start using straight away. Don't worry if you don't remember everything the first time. Just listen, enjoy the conversation, and let your ears become familiar with these patterns.
By the end of today's episode, you'll notice these 4 little words in a completely different way.
And once you begin recognizing them in real conversations, using them yourself will feel much more natural than you might expect.
One thing I've realized over the years is that people often learn the word will very early, but they don't always learn how flexible it is. They think it only talks about the future, and that's where the confusion begins.
I used to think that too. If someone had asked me years ago, what does will mean? I probably would have answered, it's the future tense. Then I'd have been very surprised to discover how many different jobs that little word actually does.
Let's start with one of the most common situations. Imagine we're sitting in a cafe, chatting away, and suddenly you look out the window.
I see dark clouds gathering.
What would you say?
I'd probably say, I think it will rain in a few minutes.
Perfect. You're making a prediction because you believe something is going to happen.
Notice that I'm not saying I know for certain. I'm simply sharing what I expect based on what I can see.
Here's another one. You'll enjoy this film.
Again, that's a prediction. Maybe you've watched it already and you think I'll like it.
Or perhaps you've known me for years and you know the kinds of films I enjoy.
That's an important point. Predictions aren't always about the weather. We make predictions about people, travel, food, work, and everyday life.
I say things like, you'll love this restaurant, quite often.
And if a friend recommends a book, they might say, I'm sure you'll find it interesting.
Now, let's change the situation. Imagine we're both working in an office. Someone walks in carrying a huge stack of boxes.
They look as though they're about to drop everything.
Before they even ask for help, I stand up and say, I'll help you.
That's different from a prediction.
Very different.
You didn't plan it 10 minutes ago. You made the decision at the moment you saw the problem.
That's one of the most useful ways to use will. We often use it for spontaneous decisions.
Here's another example. Your phone rings while you're cooking.
My hands are covered in flour.
So I say, don't worry, I'll answer it.
That's such a natural sentence. Nobody stops to think about the grammar. The decision happens instantly.
Let's try a short conversation.
Sounds good.
Oh no, someone's at the door.
I'll get it.
The kettle's boiling.
I'll make the tea.
We've run out of milk.
I'll pop to the shop.
Those replies sound smooth because they're immediate reactions.
And that's something learners can start using today. The next time someone needs help, instead of saying, I help you, try saying, I'll help you.
It feels much more natural.
Another common use is making promises.
Parents do this all the time.
They certainly do.
I'll pick you up after school.
I'll be there at 6.
I'll never forget your birthday.
Whether people keep those promises is another question.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I couldn't resist.
Promises are interesting because they're not simply about the future. They're also about trust.
That's true. When someone says, I'll take care of it, they're trying to reassure you.
They're telling you that you don't need to keep worrying.
Imagine your friend looks stressed before an important presentation.
I might say, you'll do great.
That's more than a prediction.
It becomes encouragement.
And encouragement is something we all need from time to time.
Especially when we're learning English.
I still remember giving my first presentation in another language. My heart was racing and I kept thinking I'd forget every word.
Did someone encourage you?
Yes, a colleague smiled and quietly said, "You'll be fine."
4 simple words.
Yet I still remember them years later.
Language has that power. Sometimes the shortest sentences have the biggest emotional impact.
Now, let's talk about shall.
This is where many learners become nervous because they don't hear it as often.
That's because modern English uses shall much less than will, especially in everyday conversation.
So if someone tells you never to use shall, that's not quite right.
And if someone tells you to replace every will with shall, that's not right either.
The truth is somewhere in the middle.
One of the most natural uses is making suggestions together.
For example, shall we go for a walk?
Shall we order some lunch?
Shall we watch another episode?
I hear those questions quite often.
Me too. They sound friendly because you're inviting the other person to decide with you.
Notice the difference.
We'll go for a walk.
That's a decision.
Shall we go for a walk?
That's an invitation to discuss the idea.
Here's a situation everyone knows. 2 friends have finished dinner and neither of them knows what to do next.
One smiles and asks, "Shall we get some coffee?"
Nobody feels pressured. It's simply an invitation.
Another place you may hear shall is when someone is offering to do something politely.
such as, shall I open the window?
Or shall I carry those bags?
You're checking what the other person wants before acting.
Imagine you're visiting your grandparents.
Your grandmother is setting the table.
You don't just grab the plates. You ask, shall I help with dinner?
That sounds thoughtful and respectful.
Could you replace it with will?
Not naturally. Will I help with dinner doesn't express the same meaning.
That's why understanding the purpose is more useful than memorizing rules.
You're asking whether your help would be welcome.
Before we finish today, let's compare a few sentences.
Great idea.
I'll carry your suitcase.
You've already decided to help.
Shall I carry your suitcase?
Now you're politely offering your help and waiting for an answer.
We'll meet at 8.
That's the plan.
Shall we meet at 8?
Now both people are deciding together.
The grammar changes by only one word, but the feeling changes completely.
That's what makes spoken English so interesting. Sometimes the smallest words do the biggest jobs.
Here's something I'd like our listeners to try today. The next time you're making plans with a friend, see if you can naturally use one sentence with will and another with shall. It doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is simply to notice how each one feels in a real conversation.
And here's our question for you. What's one sentence you can make using will or shall about your plans for this week? Say it out loud before you even write it down. Speaking first helps these patterns become part of your everyday English.
So far, we've looked at will and shall, and now it's time to talk about the word that often makes learners pause for a second before they speak.
You mean would.
That's the one. I've met so many learners who understand it when they hear it, but they hesitate when it's their turn to use it.
I can understand why. Would appears in so many situations that it almost feels like a different word every time you hear it.
The good news is there's a simple way to think about it. In many everyday conversations, would makes your English sound more polite, more careful, or more imaginative.
Let's begin with politeness because that's probably where most people hear it.
Imagine we're in a busy cafe. You're sitting by the window, and I'm carrying 2 hot drinks.
I notice the chair beside you is blocking your way.
I could simply say, move your chair.
Grammatically, that's possible, but it sounds rather direct.
Now listen to this instead. Would you mind moving your chair a little?
That feels much warmer. I'm much more likely to smile and say, of course.
Here's another example.
Go for it.
You're at work and you need a colleague's opinion.
Instead of saying, check this report, you could say, would you have a look at this report when you have a moment?
Notice that you're still asking for the same thing.
The request hasn't changed, only the tone has.
That's why native speakers rely on would so often. It helps conversations sound friendly instead of demanding.
I remember my first office job. One colleague never said, give me that file. He'd always say, would you pass me that file, please?
Did people notice?
They did. He came across as approachable, even on stressful days. It reminded me that small language choices can influence the atmosphere around us.
Let's try another conversation.
You're visiting my house for the first time.
You've just arrived.
I ask, would you like some coffee?
I answer, I'd love some, thank you.
That's a sentence you'll hear everywhere.
Restaurants, hotels, family homes, business meetings.
It's one of the most useful expressions you can learn.
And if you don't want anything?
You can simply say, no thank you, I'm fine.
Short, polite, and natural.
Now let's move to another very common use of would.
Imaginary situations.
These are fun because they let us dream a little.
I'll ask you a question.
I'm ready.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
That's a difficult one. I think I'd choose somewhere close to the sea. I love waking up to the sound of waves, and I enjoy places where life feels a little slower.
Interesting. I'd probably choose a city with great public transport, lots of parks and cafes where people enjoy sitting for hours with a book.
See what happened there?
We weren't talking about real plans.
We were imagining different possibilities.
That's why would feels so natural in questions like these.
Here's another one for you.
Go ahead.
If you had an extra day every week, what would you do with it?
I'd spend the morning hiking, switch my phone off for a while, and probably end the day reading something I've been meaning to finish for months.
That sounds like a wonderful day.
It does, doesn't it?
These kinds of questions are brilliant conversation starters because there isn't a right or wrong answer. They simply encourage people to share a little about themselves.
Now let's look at one more use that surprises many learners.
Talking about the past.
Imagine your grandfather is telling stories about his childhood.
He might say, "Every summer we would visit my grandparents."
Or, after dinner, we'd sit outside and watch the stars.
Here, would isn't talking about the future at all.
It's describing repeated actions in the past.
I love hearing older family members tell stories like that. They don't just describe events, they describe routines that became memories.
My grandfather used to tell me that every Sunday afternoon, the whole family would gather around one large table. Someone always brought homemade dessert, someone else played music, and nobody looked at a phone because there weren't any.
There's something comforting about that image.
It reminds me that language often carries emotion as well as information.
Before we finish, let's look at a few mistakes learners sometimes make.
Good idea.
Someone asks, "Do you want some cake?"
A learner replies, "Yes, I will like some."
Native speakers wouldn't normally say that.
A more natural reply is, "Yes, I'd like some."
Here's another one.
Someone says, "Can you help me tomorrow?"
You know you can't because you're traveling.
Instead of saying, "I will help you if I wasn't busy," you can say, "I would help you, but I'm away tomorrow."
That sentence clearly shows your willingness even though the situation makes it impossible.
That's a much kinder message.
And kindness often comes through the language we choose.
So here's a simple way to remember today's lesson. When you want to sound more polite, imagine different possibilities, or talk about repeated past habits, would is often the word you're looking for.
Don't try to memorize dozens of rules tonight. Listen for would in films, podcasts, and conversations over the next few days. Every time you hear it, ask yourself one question. Why did the speaker choose would here? Little by little, the answer will become more obvious, and before long, you'll find yourself using it naturally without stopping to think.
There's one more modal verb we can't leave out today, and that's should. It's one of the first words many learners study, but it's also one of the easiest to misuse.
I agree. People often think should is only for giving advice, but it quietly does a little more than that.
Let's begin with the most familiar use. Imagine I've been working for hours without taking a break.
I'd probably look at you and say, "You should take a break."
You're not giving me an order.
Not at all. It's friendly advice because you think it's the sensible thing to do.
Here's another one. You should drink more water.
Or, "You should get some sleep before your interview."
Advice like that appears in everyday conversations all the time.
Now let's look at another use. Suppose your train was due 5 minutes ago.
I might say it should arrive soon.
That's interesting because you're not advising the train.
Thankfully not.
You're saying you expect something to happen because it seems likely.
Exactly. Actually, let me rephrase that. You're saying it probably won't be much longer.
That's a useful difference to notice. Sometimes should expresses expectation rather than advice.
Before we finish, let's put all 4 words together.
I'll say the situation and you choose the natural response.
Let's do it.
Your friend looks worried before an exam.
You'll do well.
You're inviting someone to lunch.
Shall we try that new cafe?
Someone offers you a slice of cake.
I'd love one, thank you.
Your brother has been awake until 2 in the morning all week.
You should get to bed earlier.
4 situations, 4 different modal verbs. Each one has its own purpose.
Before we say goodbye, let's have a quick word tour.
Prediction means saying what you think will happen.
Promise is when you tell someone you'll do something.
Polite request is a respectful way of asking for help, often using would.
Suggestion is an idea you invite someone to consider, and shall is perfect for that.
Advice means recommending the best thing to do, which is where should is often used.
We hope today's conversation has shown you that these words aren't something to fear. They aren't 4 confusing grammar rules. They're 4 useful tools that help you sound clearer, kinder, and more natural.
Don't worry about using every one of them perfectly tomorrow. Listen for them, notice them, and then start using them one conversation at a time. That's how real progress happens.
Thanks for spending part of your day with us. We always enjoy these conversations, and we hope they make your English journey a little more enjoyable.
Take care of yourself, keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next episode of Speak English with Me. Goodbye.